Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second video I'm recording tonight, last of our vacation type videos, so don't worry, the production value will go up after this, although arguably some people would say that this angles are not bad anyway. But anyway, so we're going to talk about some of the departures of this team, guys who have been former Winnipeg Jets, and yeah, there's a few. So first off, we're going to go with Tucker Poolman. This is one that I knew was not going to be re-signed. I was pretty confident. I was a little worried that they would say that they would want to re-sign him, but then Jim Benning happened. So Tucker Poolman, who's only about 28 years old, which is younger than a lot of people think, just because he's not that really overly impressive, signs for 4 years at $2.5 million with the Vancouver Canucks. I don't get it. What? Like, no offense to Poolman, and I will echo his thoughts when I talk about Forbert as well, but Tucker Poolman was on a team that was horrendous defensively, and he was actually part of the reason why that team was known for being so bad defensively. Tucker Poolman, and this is pretty much going to be like other teams' fans, this is my thoughts on the player, this is what you're getting. Tucker Poolman's going to piss you off a little bit. He will. He really will. He had his best... Now, that being said, redeeming qualities. His best part of the season was the playoffs. His first round against Edmonton was actually really impressive. He actually tallied, I believe, 3 points in the entire playoff run. All 3 of those happening in the first round, which would have been only 4 games. He had an assist on the game winner in game 2. He had the first ever goal, which was nuts. And I think he actually had an assist in game 3 as well. I'm not sure. I think he did, though. Poolman's weird because Poolman was kind of one of those defensemen. We didn't really know which line to play. Usually our second line was Forward and Pionk, which would kind of leave Poolman with the first or third pairing, and we moved him around a lot because we didn't really find a spot for him to fit in. He's been in our system a long time, and he's always been that guy that we were kind of waiting to develop that never really did, and I think that $2.5 million is overly generous to that, especially with a 4-year term. That is, I would have given him 2 years at 1.5 mil at most, even if I was not a the Winnipeg Jets, if I was another team out of town. But yeah, good luck with that, Vancouver. I'm not really sure what you're gonna think about it. So next guy we're going to cover now is Derek Forbert. He signed with the Boston Bruins 3 years at $3 million. This one's an interesting one because we only had 1 year of Derek Forbert, but it was actually a very interesting year. So Derek Forbert is actually younger than I think a lot of people realize. He's not in his 30s. He's 29. Former first-round pick, which is nuts. He already has a couple Stanley Cups under his resume thanks to being a part of the Los Angeles Kings. And it's weird because 3 years at $3 million looks like a slight overpay in my opinion. But at the same time, I wasn't really sure where the market was going to be judging based on. So he's a left defenseman primarily. We used him that. He was actually the go-to guy to play with Neil Pionk, which is pretty good honor, honestly, on this team. Neil Pionk obviously being probably our best defenseman in a while and being our most consistent in the last 2 years. Forbert was okay, actually. It was weird. He had moments where, now if I'm Boston, it seems like Boston has a lot of money to throw around, so it's okay, but $3 million will be, you know. Maybe after 1 year you kind of look to move that contract, maybe not. Forbert's weird because Forbert is good, however, his decision-making seemed to regress as the season went along. He actually had a really good start. Also, Forbert has a very underrated shot, I will say. That guy likes picking the top corner when he walks in from the corner of the, like where the blue meets the boards on the left side. He likes walking down and trying to take that pot shot at the net, and he does connect on a couple times. He had like 5 or 6 goals, so you know it's a little surprising. But with him, he started out good, and as the season went on, he kind of struggled. He got caught up on a lot of plays. He was taking a lot more penalties than he probably would have liked to, and they was pretty noticeable. And he would get involved at just crap that didn't matter, like with Hughlander. So I'm curious to see where it is, but like, again, it's one of those things that I'm okay with the Jets moving on from, but you know, is what it is, and we'll see what happens. Now the next one, this one hurts my soul a little bit, is Laurent Brossoit to Vegas at 2 years at $2.325 million. No more Brossoit bench, guys. Yeah, short-lived. This kind of is a little bit of a rough spot for Brossoit because Brossoit is actually coming in as Fleury's replacement because they're now signing a backup goalie who's going to play backup minutes and only make backup money. And I'm very worried about this because I don't know how the Vegas fans are going to welcome Brossoit and how they will act towards him because Vegas massively backstabbed Fleury. And people are saying, well, it's business purpose. No. If the owner tells you to your face that he is not going to trade you and you have a young family here that is making roots in this city and have publicly told you, and you find out on Twitter, of all things, after you just had a business season, you have a right to be pissed off. And this...
He traded for nothing.
Yes, nothing. Brossoit is a very good backup goalie. He is. He's very good. I would say though is that we never really gave him enough faith that he deserved in, and we always overworked Hellebuck a little bit, which I think you don't want to do with Robin Lehner. Robin Lehner deserves to play a lot of games, but at the same time he will need his breaks, and I think that's a fair ask. Brossoit will come in and play good, and actually this is really good for him because it means he's moving towards the Pacific Division, and he plays really good against Pacific teams, especially the Vancouver Canucks. His only 2 shutouts are actually against Vancouver, being a BC native himself, and that's good. He has a very good record against those teams, and he should be used to play in those games, by the way. If you have the opportunity to play against Vancouver in Vancouver, Brossoit should start those games. 2 years at 2.3, that's a solid contract. I think the only reason we're not doing it, we didn't match that deal was because we plan on having Comrie try to be a backup because we really want to see him succeed, which I don't blame. I think it's a little bit worrisome, but you know, I like the attempt. But yes, Vegas, you should totally feel fine with Laurent Brossoit. Now, next contract, Trevor Lewis, 1 year, $800,000 with Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames, this is a good deal. This is very good. Trevor Lewis is arguably worth $1.5 million. He was tough because he was on our 4th line and a penalty killer, kind of a lot like Riley Nash, but he had more of an offensive upside. There was a few games where he would get some points here and there, and that's always welcome on the 4th line. 4th line points, take it whenever the hell you can get it because you don't ask for it. It's just kind of a cherry on top. He even had a multi-goal game as well, which is good. He's good veteran leadership, and he works well in in more intense situations that he has to play defensively. And he also has a Stanley Cup resume on the Los Angeles Kings as well. Calgary, honestly, not a lot I can say against this. I would have actually liked to possibly re-sign him of the guys there because I always thought he was the most affordable with the most efficient. But you know what? Good job for Calgary to be able to sign him. I'm happy. I see you possibly looking to re-sign him after the season unless there's some horrible miscalculations being made. Next, Nate Thompson pretty much gets re-signed practically because it wasn't too long ago since he was signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, 1 year at $800,000. Yeah, no, you can't really hate an $800,000 deal. I will say this, Nate Thompson was by far the weakest of our 4th line forwards, but he played okay, honestly. I think the bar was low to begin with, and it was never, ever passed. It was always only met, if anything, which I don't hate. I know me and Jake both kind of ripped Thompson at times, but the guy worked really hard to stay on the roster when he was there, and he deserved a spot, so good for him. Philly, I think this is honestly mostly a sentimental pick, and I'm okay with that. I'm not knocking it. That's fair game, honestly. Good for you. I don't really see him cracking anything above your 4th line, maybe your 3rd. I wouldn't use him there. But yeah, solid. And last but not least, Frenchie. Frenchie's gone. Matthew Perreault signs 1 year at $950,000 with the Montreal Canadiens. This smells like a Jason Spezza contract to me, if I've ever seen one. And you know what? It's just as effective. this is a great deal for Matthew Perreault. Now, as a Winnipeg fan, Matthew Perreault is good, but he's also very frustrating at times. Why is he frustrating? We'll go to that first before we get to the greatness. Frustrating? Matthew Perreault, first off, will look like he doesn't have his stick for a lot of the broadcasts because he uses sometimes almost a clear white stick, which the feed does not pick up. Also, Matthew Perreault doesn't usually kill penalties. He'll actually be usually the guy serving a too many men on the ice penalty if they use them the same way as Winnipeg did, because he's just not as effective in that. He's very reminiscent of a Corey Perry style. He does as well, though, take a lot of stick infractions. If there was ever a downside to Matthew Perreault, it's his stick infraction penalties. They happen a little too often, especially for the minutes he plays. What are the upsides, though? He can actually play power play units. He's a lot like Corey Perry, actually. They're both very effective in front of the net. They're stick checking and they're being able to deflect pucks, redirections, all of that. He's actually really effective in those areas, and a lot of the goals you'll see from Matthew Perreault will probably be in similar situations like that. He can work as a second power play unit player. I wouldn't use him on the first because unless you're really looking for person-specific jobs, you'll want to use him on the second one. Otherwise, just have your natural skill guys out there on the first one. But he does definitely make an impact on those. He will notably score. He notably scored some important goals for us as well. It's tough seeing him go because he's been there for a long time. He was there on the 17-18 run, of course. Always good depth. I wouldn't even say he's just a fourth liner. He's bottom six, honestly. I see him just signing with his pretty much his hometown team type thing like that, and that's good for him, honestly. So far, I haven't heard any news that this was like bad terms with Winnipeg. It just seemed like that was just something he wanted to do before he retired at some point, and that's good, honestly. I'm all for players wanting to play in their hometown. Sometimes it's annoying when they're very, very good and they sign for very, very low, but this is totally understandable. Montreal, you got a good pickup here. It's one of the good stories that we're hearing in Montreal. But yeah, honestly, like, looking at all these pickups, I hope the best for them. I really do. They all left some type of mark with the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm very happy that they played for our team. I look forward to seeing what they do this upcoming season. I always follow those guys like that. I even follow guys still like Brandon Tanev, Joel Armia, stuff like that. You know how it is. Thanks for watching, though. Let me know your thoughts on some of their contracts and some of their play styles in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to this channel, especially if you're a fan of not even the Winnipeg Jets, because you can watch me react to us losing games. Leave a like as well, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.